It's Wednesday, the 23rd day of August 2023. Welcome to the morning bulletin here on your best experience. My name is Obed Gaglo. The headlines in a jiffy. Coming up this morning, Ghana Private Road Transport Union confirms commercial fares will see 20% increment as transport unions deliberate further on the matter. Also ahead, Ministry of Health charged to consider lapses in communication regarding patients with hearing impairments. Coming up, EIB Network's Accra-based English radio station Star FM 103.5 joins 17 other stations to pilot digital audio broadcasting in Ghana. And also, President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo delivers speech in Johannesburg, South Africa at the BRICS Summit. So it's coming up. Stay with us. Grateful for your time this morning. Now to our first story. Now, the Public Utilities Regulation Commission has released its latest tariff adjustments for the third quarter of 2023. Notably, end-user electricity tariff for lifeline customers, industrial customers, and certain non-residential groups remain unchanged. However, non-lifeline residential customers can anticipate a 4.22% increase in their average end-user electricity tariff. Regarding water tariffs, lifeline customers will not see any changes, while other water customers groups will experience a 1.18% increase in tariffs. The PRC emphasizes that its decisions were carefully guided by the interest of consumers, the financial sustainability of service providers, and the broader economic conditions prevailing in the country. Now, there is speculation of a possible 20% increase in transport fares soon. Earlier indications from the Ghana Private Road Transport Union about fare reduction on May 17, 2023 were met with resistance from transport operators. The GPRTU's plan for meeting to decide on the way forward also didn't materialize as expected. The question now remains, is GPRT contemplating of fare hikes in an effort to bring clarity? We speak to the Industrial Relations Officer of the GPRT, Alhaji Abbas Imoro. Hello, good morning, Abbas. We'll bring you that conversation in our subsequent bulletin. Now, state prosecutors request to the court to have the case adjourned for 2 more weeks to enable investigators to conclude investigations in the case alleging some 1,300,000 euros theft at the residence of Madame Cecilia Dapa has been granted. Patience Butchie, the former house help of former Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, and 6 others have been slapped with 14 counts, but their plea have not been taken. AIB's legal affairs correspondent Mutala Enusa has more.
On Tuesday, August 22, Assistant State Attorney Akosua Ejapoma Ajiman, alongside ASP Emmanuel Nyamiche, asked for a 2-week adjournment to conclude on investigations. The defense lawyers did not oppose to the request. Lawyer Adams Abdul Basit, counsel for Joe Pomari, the 6th accused, who is on a provisional charge of dishonestly receiving some 300,000 Ghana cedis, moved a formal bail application for his client. His application was not also opposed, and according to the prosecution, they did not because investigations on the 6th accused have been concluded. The trial judge, Efia Owusua Apia, admitted Pomari to bail in the sum of 300,000 Ghana cedis with 2 sureties to be justified. The sureties, the court said, should be within the jurisdiction of the court, and the accused should also deposit his passport at the registry of the court and report to the police once every fortnight. Attempts by some of the defense lawyers to make repeat oral bail application for bail were not accepted, with the court directing them to rather come formally. Meanwhile, the 2 lactating mothers who were on 8th August granted bail are still in lawful custody after failing to meet their respective bail conditions. On August 8, 2023, when the charge sheet was amended, Sarah Ejay and Christiana Echab, said to be nursing mothers, were each granted 1 million Ghana cedi bail with 3 sureties to be justified. The accused, the court said, are also to deposit their passport at the registry of the court and should not travel outside the jurisdiction, but they are still in lawful custody as they are yet to meet their bail conditions. The accused persons are Patience Butchie, a hairdresser, Sarah Ejay, who is unemployed, Benjamin Suwa, a plumber, Malik Dauda, who is unemployed, Christiana Echab, a trader, Joe Pomari, a mechanic, and Yaya Sumaila, an excavator operator. The case has since been adjourned to September 5, 2023.
Now, President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo is attending the 15th BRICS Summit in Johannesburg. He was invited by President of the Republic of South Africa, His Excellency Cyril Ramaphosa. The president was accompanied by Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration Minister Shirley Ayoko-Botchwey, as well as officials from the presidency and the Foreign Ministry. He is expected to deliver a statement at the summit. The BRICS Summit brings together leaders from Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. This summit not only focuses on political matters, but also includes a comprehensive business program, including BRICS Business Forum. President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo will return to Ghana on August 25th. Till then, Vice President Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia will assume the role of acting president in his absence. Now, leadership of the La Traditional Council is asking governments and other stakeholders to invest in the organization of festivals. The group believes that's a means of creating employment, which brings, according to the Secretary of the La Homo Planning Committee, Jeffrey Tete, celebration of festivals should not only be seen as preserving the culture of the people, but also a means of creating sustainable development for the people.
ILA, a
community in the Greater Accra region, preparations for the Homowo Festival begins as far back as May and ends in August. The festival is characterized by a series of rituals which are symbolic to the people. According to the Deputy Secretary of the Homowo Planning Committee, Jeffrey Tete, the festival does not only preserve the heritage of the people, but also promote trade, tourism, and development in the community.
Seeking to preserve our culture, and by so doing, we are actually showing our true African identity, our Ghana identity as Gadangwe people, who we are, what we stand for, and where we come from. In days, there's going to be trade exhibition. Okay, now this is a way of helping our youth who do not have employment to find something to do. Again, as part of their trade bazaar, they're organizing some art festival, and they've started doing this graffiti arts on some walls.
Speaking during the preparation of this year's Homowo Festival, Kingmaker of La, Ni Ajay Kofi IV, La Shikitile, advised the youth to take their education seriously and desist from social vices such as being recruited as land guards.
Yela titri ublahi ni amekefo amenoake ameni chumuji amebako mani ni ameyemini ni ma kana ise ni ka amefe no lehu etan ame ba swa magiache me ake magiache me fe noni sa amehu nimbu amekoko.
This year's Homowo Festival brought together artists who narrated the history of the people of La through graffiti, artworks, and paintings. Speaking to GH1 News, leadership of the artists recounted the relevance of the artwork in the celebration of the festival and called for investment in the craft.
We are trying to, depict those things on the walls. So it's actually telling a particular story. If you can really look at it, how the whole festival thing is done, what comes first, what goes into the whole thing. So it's basically that.
We are hoping that in the coming future, most of the murals will be more futuristic. How we see Labadi in the future, the development and education and especially hospitals being built through this festival. So the benefit of the festival is to support the community. In the future we should be able to have space for art and space for other skills where children can come to study. Yeah.
The Homowo Festival is characterized by the symbolic sprinkle of pepui, which signifies the hoot at Hanga on the principal streets of La and its environs. The festival is climaxed with a Deba where various rituals are performed. Now, the National Youth Authority, in partnership with the International Youth Fellowship, has asked the country's youth to participate in this year's National Youth Conference. The conference is held every August to gather young people to create opportunities for the young to leverage on. Speaking during a press briefing ahead of the conference, Chief Executive Officer of the National Youth Authority, Pius Enamajide, noted that this year's National Youth Month celebration will leverage opportunities and hone their talent to address concerns of the Ghanaian youth. The National Youth Month, which is characterized by a series of activities and climaxed with a conference, provides an essential platform to facilitate discussions that addresses the need of the Ghanaian youth. The activities connect the youth from across the country and beyond with policymakers, political leaders, public, private, and development sector instructors to engage, discuss, and design and accelerate youth empowerment efforts at the national level. Chief Executive Officer of the National Youth Authority, Pius Enamajide, believes this year's theme of breaking the barrier, creating a stronger youth development ecosystem is timely, as it will present pragmatic solutions to the teething issues affecting youth development.
The National Youth Authority has this year set out to fully embrace and appreciate the youth of this country as the driving force of progress, whose passion, innovation, and resilience shape the trajectory of society. Therefore, under the adapted theme, Breaking Barriers, Creating a Stronger Youth Development Ecosystem, we have scheduled a series of dialogues and initiatives to take place throughout the entire month.
Addressing journalists on the sidelines of the press launch, Deputy Country Director of the International Youth Fellowship, Reverend Jan Kunyang, said the International Youth Fellowship decided to sponsor this year's conference to promote the changing mindset of the youth.
Through the change of the mindset, overcome the challenge and difficulties. Many people who says about if there's an obstacle, if we avoid obstacles, we can be weak. But if we overcome those kind of obstacles, we can be strong. I believe that through this youth conference, working with the National Youth Authority, our institution, the International Youth Fellowship, when we're working together for the youth development in Ghana, it can change for the better picture.
Now, have you wondered how the hearing impaired access healthcare in this country? According to the Ghana Statistical Service, over 200,000 Ghanaians are either deaf or hard of hearing, forming part of a chunk of Ghanaians with restricted access to sexual and reproductive health research. In a research that conducted by Associate Director of Global Health and Development, John Carey, the Health Ministry and other stakeholders must consider persons hard at hearing in strategy to achieve universal health coverage agenda. In a 2-day simulation exercise held at the nursing department of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, nursing students were engaged to interact with deaf persons. The exercise sought to address lapses in communication among deaf persons in relation to their sexual reproductive health. The principal of the Nursing and Midwifery Department, Gladys Boku, noted that the Ministry of Health, together with the school, is making everything possible to help reach universal health coverage, as it was obvious in the simulation that there was a communication deficit.
Even the sign language is even an area to help reach the universal health coverage, because then the minorities, our friends who are challenged in hearing, can be reached. Their reproductive health issues can also be attended to, because communication is a very important tool in the giving of health care. And so if you want to give a respectful maternity care, then you should have control over the communication.
The head of the gynecology department, Joyce Kwaku, also mentioned that they usually encounter some challenges in a bid to communicate with deaf persons, and she calls on the government to help teach health practitioners in the use of basic sign language.
We don't usually get them, but when we get them, it's very, very challenging, because they might come using signs and we really don't get it. So we would try and do gestures that's for them to also understand us. I think the clinicians learning sign language would help, because if we have to bring interpreters, how many of them are we going to bring? But if we ourselves try and learn how to sign, it will go a long way to help us.
President of the Ghana National Association for the Deaf, Matthew Kubacha, said members are mostly dissatisfied with attention given them when they visit the hospital for health care.
How the deaf can go to hospital to access healthcare services is very difficult. Very, very difficult. We can't communicate with the deaf cannot communicate with nurses and doctors. Sometimes the deaf person will go to hospital since morning to afternoon, morning to evening, without taken care of. The deaf will be sick so much, will go to the hospital. They'll tell the nurse, wait, I'm coming, they'll never come back. They'll never come back. So the deaf, we feel so disappointed.
Associate Director for the Global Health and Development, John Carey, urged health facilities and the public to pay close attention to how they care for the deaf.
Being intentional in your communication with deaf people, listening to them, looking at them, being serious, maybe even learning some simple sign language so at least you can navigate some basic communication is something that I would encourage people to do.
AIB Network's Accra-based English radio station Star 103.5 FM has been selected with 17 other radio stations in the country to pilot digital audio broadcast. Minister for Communication and Digitalization, Esla Wusu-Ekufo, admonished media organizations to capitalize on the digital radio market as she launched the first digital audio broadcasting services in West Africa. The minister believes embracing digital radio technology can alleviate some of the challenges faced by traditional FM radio stations and ease the spectrum constraints which hinders the issuance of new frequencies. There's more in the following report.
The NCA, since its inception, has granted some 707 analog radio licenses, with 513 radio stations currently in operations across the country, leading to a congested market with limited resources. To address these challenges, the National Communications Authority, NCA, an agency under the Ministry of Communications and Digitalization, introduced the Digital Audio Broadcasting Service, which offers a more spectrum utilization and a wide range of channels. Speaking at the official launch of the DAP service, Minister for Communications and Digitalization, Esla Wusu-Ekufo, stated that the global digital radio broadcasting market is estimated to be valued at some $6.9 billion by 2027, hence the need for media organizations to embrace digital alternatives to maximize revenue.
In terms of value, according to the Digital Journal, the global digital radio broadcasting market was valued at $3.7+ billion in 2021 and is expected to expand at a growth rate of 11%, reaching $6.9 billion by 2027. This provides an opportunity for Ghana to tap into this revenue stream to expand revenues for both the government and the private sector. As we stride into the future, the advent of DAB marks a significant milestone in radio broadcasting.
Aside the economic benefits of the service to media companies, Minister for Information, Kojo Nkrumah, is hopeful media standards will improve in ensuring responsible journalism.
More often than not, I think we all bear testimony to the fact that when we get new media, we don't necessarily put our best on it. If you look at the social media expansion, and the democratization of publishing channels as a result of social media, and you compare it to the kind of content that we are collectively putting out, I think as part of the issues that the NMC raises for our consideration, we should ask ourselves whether we are using it to push our best, we are using it to build our society, or we are using it for obtuse purposes. So hopefully this as a new technology platform should help the promotion of a lot more content that helps to develop us.
This pilot phase of the service positions Ghana as the first country in West Africa and the fourth in Africa to deploy digital audio broadcasting. Accra-based Star FM, a subsidiary of the AIB network, is among 18 audio channels selected in Accra and Kumasi for the trial phase of the DAP service.
Now, the National Coordinator of the Landscape Restoration and Small-Scale Project, Dr. John Krugu, is warning against the potentialization of illegal mining in the country. According to him, the fight against the menace can only be won if stakeholders come together devoid of politics to deal with it. He says the focus is to ensure the space is formalized to provide jobs for the youth.
It is very risky for anybody to try and use illegal mining and to try and play politics with any aspect of mining. And I can tell you that it is not a simple question to say that, you vote for me when I come, I would let you mine or I would not let you mine. Nobody should even try that because there is no, people are simply looking for a livelihood, and it doesn't matter which party is in power. They will go out there and try to get a livelihood. And if you look at the bulk of youth unemployment across the African continent, we are in this demographic transition period where you have several young people leaving school and they are looking for jobs. Across Africa, I'm yet to see a country where youth unemployment has been addressed. So you are going to continue to have this challenge, and some of these young people in search for their livelihood or want to live a decent life would go into mining, and it doesn't matter which political party is in power. So it is.
Let's do some sports stories now. As the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Women Premier League side, Berry Ladies GHToday has underscored women's football has resolved to the state where the world has come to embrace it as one of the well-developed disciplines in the game. GHToday indicates the new generation of women footballers have raised the bar to a point where even they attract, sponsors to the game.
A historian, I look at where we've come from and where we've gotten to. Until recent times, we're not even seen as a proper professional, and even to date, internationally, we're not still seen as that. But then we've been able to develop right from when women were seen as no good for football to a progress of naming, when the people like the Habibatas and the rest had come in. We've seen the Mercy Tegos and the Adrabayos play, and now we're at a point of seeing the Lindes and then the Genetic Juice also play. So these progresses and these generations have given us a very good different impression, and I think that's how far we've grown. So how far we've grown on the point of people now coming to be very educated, people now saying that you're not just going to do it, now sponsorship coming in, and then we having a women's strategic document to launch, which has 6 pillars, which I think that we'll be able to focus on that.
Thank you very much for joining us this morning. My name is Obed King Gaglo. GHToday continues with Lantam Papanko.